Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Baton Rouge, Louisiana for the NCAA Gymnastics Regionals Finals. Come on inside the beautiful Maravich Center with Lori Strong-Ballard, a Georgia All-America and national champion, and two-time member of the Canadian Olympic team, and Kaylee Dixon-Abood, twice an All-America in the all-around at LSU. I'm Lynn Rollins. Kaylee, the formula is simple tonight. Be good or be gone.
This is the Sweet 16 of gymnastics, and LSU, Auburn, Utah, and Minnesota will compete tonight for the top two spots to advance to the national championships. There are 3 other regionals this evening where 6 teams will also have a chance to punch their ticket to the national championships as well.
Lori, what do you expect out of the quartet we'll see tonight?
Well, number 1 seed LSU had the top score in yesterday's competition. Despite overcoming some major obstacles, Auburn had to push through a tough injury, but still put up their top score at a regional championships in school history. Utah scored a little bit lower than they did 2 weeks ago at the Pac-12 championship, so there's much room for improvement for this powerhouse team. And Minnesota's hope for their 8th national bid will depend on, according to their head coach Jenny Hansen, on them competing with confidence and going out strong.
Well, it's pressure time, that's for sure, as there will be 8 teams remaining after this round of regionals is completed tonight across the country. Let's look at the latest Road to Nationals rankings. You see Oklahoma, still rated number 1. UCLA, a terrific floor team, rated number 2. LSU, 4th in all events across the country, is rated 3rd this week. You see Florida, Denver, Utah, Michigan, Georgia, Kentucky, and Alabama. And as we turn the page on the second 10, Minnesota, Boise State, Auburn out of the SEC. And here tonight, Nebraska, Oregon State, California, BYU, Washington, Missouri, and Arkansas. And I think it's noteworthy to point out that there are 6 Southeastern Conference teams still in competition for the finals.
SEC is always a powerhouse conference, and we have 2 competing in today's competition. It's just a conference that pushes each other week after week, and that's how everyone seems to get better throughout the season.
Auburn will start on vault tonight, Minnesota on bars, LSU on beam, and Utah on floor exercise. We'll have 4 events going simultaneously all evening long. We will cover it as best we can. We've got cameras and experts everywhere. And here we go. The finals on the line in Fort Worth, Texas later this year.
A Miracle Phillips on vault for Auburn is first up. And over on balance beam, you'll see leading off for LSU, Christina Desiderio.
Minnesota starting on bars today. They scored a 49.25 in yesterday's competition. This is one of their strongest events, so a good starting point for them. And we're looking at Utah on the floor. There's some room for improvement here. They went 49.2 in yesterday's competition.
Auburn on vault yesterday. After that terrible injury that we saw from Sam on floor, they went out on vault, they rallied, and they ended up getting their season high of a 49.35. So that just shows what kind of team this is. They're in it and they want to fight.
Kaylee, tell me about LSU, obviously the top-ranked team in this regional, starting on beam. There's pressure early.
Absolutely. Beam is a tough place to begin, but LSU has a fantastic beam team. They're capable of going 49.5 plus on this event. And plus, when you get to the national championships, you don't know where you're going to begin. So it's good practice for that down the road.
And we have to mention that the starting events for today's competition was actually predetermined according to how you placed in your lead-up competition yesterday.
Taylor Krippner up next on vault for Auburn.
Great routine for Utah on the floor. That's Macy Roberts, a senior. She scored a 9.85 yesterday and is pumped after that performance.
Bridget Dean getting set to go for LSU over on balance beam. She got a 9.775 last night, so not exactly the score she wanted. You want your scores to be at least 9.8 plus in order to be competitive, so we'll see what she has to do tonight. Hannah
Wilmer from Minnesota on bars getting a last-minute pep talk. She's a sophomore, scored a 9.7 yesterday, but her high score, her career high, is a 9.875, and that's what these teams are doing today. They need to be digging deep and getting some of their best performances.
One thing we should note, that if there is a tie, it is broken when the sixth score in all four events is counted. So the score that normally is cast aside would be counted in the event of a tie.
Just shows that everything matters. If there is a fall, if there is a big wobble, you've got to get back up and you need to finish your routine for your team.
Hannah Wilmarth on bars, doing a great job. A ray to a toe shoot to handstand. Hitting that vertical position on the handstand, giant full. Here's the dismount, double tuck, a little leg separation, and struggles with the landing there. That'll be a couple tenths deduction.
Gracie Day on vault for Auburn. A nice Yarchenko full and half, small hop on the landing, but great height and distance. She is very, very happy with her performance.
You will hear, of course, periodic louder cheering from this partisan LSU crowd, as we just heard following the completion of a beam routine.
On the floor, Kari Lee for Utah. Front layout to a front full, well done. She's a senior and a co-captain of this team, an NCAA finalist on floor as a freshman. And just 2 weeks ago at the Pac-12, she tied her career high with a 9.925, so extremely capable. And we talked about Utah maybe stepping it up a little bit more today. They had room for improvement. Some of that can come here on floor.
Over on vault, getting set to go for Auburn, Darian Goburn won the event last night with a 9.95. She tied with Anna Loper from Minnesota.
Very original final pass for Kari Lee on the floor with a double twist into a back layout, adding a little pizzazz to a somewhat easier last tumbling pass.
Darian fought to get that stick, came up a little bit short, but overall a very nice Yarchenko full and a half.
Small step on the landing over on bars for Minnesota. That's Anna Loper doing a great job.
Sammy Durante on beam for LSU, just had to fight to keep that series on the beam. Shoulder got behind her a little bit and she had to take a wobble. Starting on beam can be a little bit nerve-wracking, so LSU has to get their rhythm. They've got to stay confident. They've got to have their mental game strong. They know the skills. They just have to let their bodies take over.
Unlike regular season meets, there are 4 judges on each exercise, and scores generally run a little lower than they do during the normal season.
Well, you have 4 sets of eyes taking all kinds of deductions from every angle. The high and the low score are discarded, and the 2 middle scores are average for the final score. On the floor for Utah, this is Adrienne Randall, a freshman, a little short on that full and back out first tumbling pass.
Drew Watson for Auburn with a beautiful Yarchenko full and a half. Beautiful form, beautiful height and distance. That should put up a really nice score. Kennedy Edney on beam, getting some last words of advice from Ashley Natt, a little pep talk.
Tiari Salas doing a double layout dismount on the bars, tiny hop on the landing, but a very difficult and great routine.
Let's pay particular attention to Kennedy Edney. This is one of her best events. She combines a great deal of grace with flexibility and power and courage on the beam.
Jada Glenn on vault for Auburn, wrapping things up for this rotation. Beautiful, nice, clean, full, small hop on the landing, but very well executed. Kennedy Edney doing a great job on balance beam. Back handspring layout step out was right on.
Up for Minnesota on the bars, this is Lexi Ramler, sophomore. She scored a 9.9 yesterday. Her career high is a 9.95, so they're hoping for a big score from her today.
Kennedy with a small break on that acro skill. It's all right, she's got to keep her composure and finish strong.
Lexi Ramler with a sky-high, full twisting, double back, nails the landing.
In the lower right-hand corner of your screen, you will see numbers continuously being updated, reflecting which team is on which apparatus, and also updated scores and individual scores as they become available.
On floor for Utah, this is Sydney Solosky opening with a huge double layout. Nicely done. She's from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Yesterday she went 9.75. She's an All-American on floor as a freshman, though, so you know what her ability is. Looking for a big-time routine today. Very cute choreography.
Here goes Reagan Campbell in the 5th spot, up for LSU on balance beam. This is one of her best events. Regular season All-American, ranked number 15. She is capable of scoring a perfect 10. She's gotten very close with a 9.975.
Ivy Lou over on bars, dismounting, absolutely nails the landing. Another Canadian from Montreal, Quebec. Her career high is a 9.975. She went 9.9 yesterday, so that could be a big score.
It's a beautiful routine. Front aerial into assist zone for Reagan Campbell.
Yesterday, Reagan Campbell's high is 9.975 on this event.
She's definitely a beamer. It's one of her best events, and you can see why. She's graceful, and she's got all of the difficulty that she needs in her beam routine, and nails the dismount on top of all of that. That was an outstanding routine. Sarah Finnegan will wrap things up on balance beam for LSU tonight. She scored a 9.925. Not feeling her best, as we all know, and she came out last night and really hit things for LSU on this event, and I know she can do it again.
Minnesota is all done on the bars. They have had the same lineup on bars since February 2nd. They've been super consistent, and it showed tonight once again with a great performance from them on their first apparatus.
Well, Kaylee, the cheering you're hearing right now is for one of the best ever to suit up for LSU, Sarah Finnegan. She has been battling the flu over the last few days. She's got 25 beam titles and has scored a perfect 10 this year.
This is definitely an event you don't want to miss Sarah on. She's beautiful to watch. Her toe point, her form, her tempo, everything is spot on.
On floor for Utah, McKenna Merrill Giles, a senior. Beautiful piked full in to open. She is a co-captain on this team with Kari Lee. Also have to mention over on bars for Minnesota, that massive, beautiful bar routine at the end from Ivy Lou scored a 9.975.
All of these teams are here to compete. They are here to go to the national championship. So it is going to be a tight competition. It's going to be exciting to watch. Everyone's going to put their best foot forward and their best lineup up that they possibly can. So I'm excited to see what happens.
So far in this first rotation, we've seen so much drive and so much fight, and that's what it's going to take to make it to the national championships. And, you know, we were watching warm-ups earlier, and it seemed like a lot of people were struggling with some nagging injuries. They just looked a little bit fatigued. This is the first time that they've had to compete 2 days straight at a regional championships. But right now, it seems like that adrenaline is kicking in, and we're seeing some big-time competition.
Especially for Sarah Finnegan over there on balance beam. She just did a beautiful beam set. And I'm interested to see what the judges thought.
Both of you have competed in front of raucous, huge, partisan crowds. LSU has that behind it tonight. How much difference does that make? Is there a true home floor advantage?
Absolutely. I think that LSU fans being here, rallying behind these girls really helps. And teams that travel with their fans, it helps to see your colors in the stands and your people cheering for you. It gives you some momentum.
And what an amazing season LSU's had. They're hosting the regional championships, a big-time competition. They also had the SEC championships locally here in New Orleans at the Smoothie King Center, so had a big crowd to support them, to help them win their third title in a row. Absolutely, that support helps. And we also have to mention, when you're at a major competition like this at a regional championships, you'll notice out on the floor they have these corrals. So the athletes, the teammates, have to be within that corral. And normally at a major or at a dual meet, the athletes can be out there and run out on the floor with their teammates. But here you have to cheer even louder from the corral.
And at times it's definitely hard to stay in the corral because your excitement can get the best of you.
Well, there's the Sarah Finnegan beam update, a 9.95. She had at least 110 among the four judges.
And this could be a massive score coming for Utah. Their top floor worker, Michaela Skinner, opening with a double twisting double back. She has the most difficult floor routine in collegiate gymnastics, as well as the most difficult vault. We'll see that later.
She's dynamic, isn't she? I mean, look at the energy and the smile and the way she approaches.
Everything she does, she's got the form to go along with the difficulty, and that makes it just that much better.
2017 national floor champion. She won the all-around competition across both subdivisions yesterday. Watch this pass. Round up, 1.5, step out. Beautiful form, legs glued together into the double full. Take a look at this final tumbling pass. We talked about her incredible difficulty. She ends her routine, third tumbling pass, 1 minute and 30 worth of exertion, and she ends it with a full and back out. That's an E-level skill that a lot of girls struggle to compete in their first pass.
Well, LSU certainly with a terrific start on beam, a 49.5, anchored by the near perfect 10 by Finnegan. And we're waiting for the update from the floor exercise as we have completed the first rotation. Next up, it will be Utah on vault, Auburn on bars, Minnesota on beam, and LSU on floor. We'll be back in a moment as we continue with the Baton Rouge Regional Gymnastics Championship Finals. We'll move on to the National Gymnastics Championships in Fort Worth, Texas. Right now, after one rotation, LSU 49.5 on beam. You see the other scores there. Utah in second place, followed by Minnesota and Auburn. Let's take a look at Auburn, Minnesota, LSU, and Utah as they competed in the first rotation.
Auburn on vault went 49.05. Darian Goburn with a beautiful Yarchenko full and a half. Stuck to get that landing. Here it is again. Foot a little bit behind, but overall a very nice vault. And then Drew Watson with a gorgeous full and a half. Perfect form. Small hop on the landing, but put up a fantastic score.
And for Minnesota on bars, they continued their consistent streak, scoring a 49.275. Tiari Salas with a 9.825. Gorgeous form here into her double layout. It floats, just a tiny hop on the landing, but a great routine. And then, of course, Ivy Liu with a massive score to anchor this bar lineup. Beautiful and exceptional form throughout. Pack salto down to the low bar. Big 9975. Dismount, nails it.
And over on balance beam for LSU, a fantastic start. 49.5, right where they want to be. And Kennedy Edney had a fantastic beam set. Round off 4.5, dismount, perfectly stuck. And then Sarah Finnegan, beautiful beam set from her as well to cap things off. Beautiful form, nice acro series, cool and composed, everything that you expect from Sarah Finnegan on this event. And a beautiful landing.
So there are some highlights from the first rotation.
And Utah on the floor, showing some improvement today, showing lots of personality and plenty of energy. This is Kari Lee, the co-captain of the team, scoring a 9.85. Beautiful, gorgeous double twist to a back layout, adding that little sass and flair. And of course, Michaela Skinner with the most difficult routine in collegiate gymnastics. That is a double twisting, double back, folks. And you know, she actually trains and has competed that in the laid out position. Final pass, a full and back out, and E-skill as her last tumbling pass. 9.95 for Michaela Skinner.
Let's look at Auburn's vault scores. Phillips, the 9.650 was cast away. Minnesota with a 9.975 from Lou at the bottom. Tigers on beam, very, very good. Led by Finnegan and Campbell and Edney. And of course, Utah. Right there, also some very, very nice scores on floor. We'll step aside just for a moment and be back. You see the updated totals after one rotation. LSU leading early. 2 of these 4 will move on to Fort Worth for the national championship. We get set for the second rotation. It'll be Utah on vault, Auburn on bars, Minnesota working the beam, LSU on the floor exercise.
Utah on vault, they went 49.2 last night, but they're definitely capable of a 49.5. That's their high this season so far. And then over on balance beam, we have Minnesota. They went 49.050, so they're going to want to score a little bit higher tonight in order to be competitive.
Katie Becker for Auburn finished up her routine first up on bars for Auburn. They have a high score of a 49.6 this year, but they were solid yesterday with a 49.35. And on floor for LSU, Ruby Harold, mid-routine here. She went 9.85 yesterday. LSU's number 4 in the country on floor, and they have that 1-2-3 punch at the end of this lineup with Edney, Finnegan, and Kelly, all who have scored a perfect 10 at some point this season.
McKenna Kelly is ailing a little bit. She suffered a groin pull in the meet yesterday. She is going to be able to compete tonight, but a little bit sore, a little bit stiff.
And of course, Sarah Finnegan, who had flu symptoms all week. They rested her yesterday because they did not need her performance last up in this floor lineup. She is scheduled to compete today, but we'll see.
Kaylee, you mentioned Utah's strength on vault. This is a team that ranks second in the country with a 49.465 national qualifying score. Traditionally, this has been a wonderful event for Utah.
Absolutely, and I just saw Macy Roberts land a beautiful Yurchenko layout full, perfectly stuck, so that should get things going for him over on the vault rotation.
I have to mention down in the lower right corner for Auburn, that's Drew Watson. She just fell on bars, getting back up, having to complete her routine now. That is a tough break early in Auburn's lineup. She's capable. She scored 9.9 twice this season and comes in a little bit short on her dismount. Remember, Auburn's been through a lot with that major injury to one of their senior leaders, Sam Serio, yesterday. So that was an emotional take from them, as well as we have to keep in mind this is the second day of competition for these teams. A lot of effort was put out yesterday, so they could be a little fatigued.
They're definitely tired, but they've got to push through, get that adrenaline going, because there is light at the end of the tunnel, and the goal is the national championships for all of these teams.
Gorgeous 2.5 twist for Reagan Campbell. LSU on the floor.
Had a fall on balance beam from Minnesota as well from Anna Loper. This is an outstanding event for her, so I know she is very upset to have had that fall. Her beam routine is normally very beautiful. 9.925 is her high.
Sticking a double back. Well done for Reagan Campbell, who's been in and out of this floor lineup. She's an athlete, though, who doesn't necessarily have the big, powerful tumbling we'll see from Kelly and Edney later on. But what she does is beautiful. It's elegant and gorgeous form. Take a look at the extension and the split that she gets in those leaps. She posted a career high on floor. Reagan Campbell with a 9.9 at the Gym Quarters Invitational. So you can see right there her ability.
Utah on vault has 2 gymnasts in the top 10 in the NCAA, Skinner and Merrill Giles. And I know we can expect amazing vaults from them. There was a huge Yurchenko 4.5 with a beautiful stuck landing. That's the 3rd or 4th one I've seen from them, so they're on a roll.
Taylor Krippner on bars, full in back out dismount. Great routine for Reagan Campbell for LSU on the floor.
Michaela Skinner getting ready to vault for Utah. We can expect big things from her, just like her floor routine. She's a power athlete. Everything she does is big and beautiful. So we'll see what she can do tonight.
Bottom right corner, there's Darian Goburn, one of their sensational freshmen from Auburn, named SEC All-Freshman Team. Going through some last-minute visualization before her routine begins. She needs to help get this Auburn team back on track on bars.
It's a beautiful Yurchenko double full from Michaela Skinner. You could not ask for better.
She does that with ease. Absolutely outstanding. And over on the floor for LSU is Sarah Edwards. Opening with a front double full, just a little bit of a side step on the landing. Darian Goburn from Auburn on bars, sky high Tkachev right into a pack salto. Well done.
Ivy Liu is up on beam for Minnesota, trying to get things going again after the fall she had before her, doing a great job. Just got to get that momentum going so that the rest of the lineup can feel comfortable and confident as soon as they hit the beam.
Darian Goburn hitting a routine, but with a fairly big step on the landing of her dismount. Sarah Edwards is one of those athletes from LSU who had to step up and into the lineup yesterday. Lexi Priestman out with a bicep tear. She re-injured her arm that she injured in February.
She will not compete at all tonight, as she did last night as well. So Lexi Priestman out on bars and out on vault.
And Christina Desiderio was unable to compete on floor because of an ankle injury. So LSU having to dig deep into their depth.
Priestman is a huge scorer on vault and bars as well. That's a major blow, potentially, to the total for this team.
Utah just finished their vault rotation with a big vault from Kim Tesson. They had an outstanding vault rotation. They had stick after stick, so that team total should be something that they'll be very, very happy with.
You know, one thing, Kaylee and Lori, I think we should point out right now, and that is salute the dozens and dozens and dozens of volunteers who have come from all walks of life to give of their time and talents to make this tournament go as smoothly as possible. And what's really encouraging to me, when you look around the arena, there are many children here who are helping the judges and have very important roles here. It gets them involved in the sport. They've done a wonderful job here in Baton Rouge with this army of volunteers that has helped make it happen.
And many of the young athletes out there helping with the scoring and being runners are actually from the gym that Kaylee works at. So a great opportunity for them to get out here and see right up close some of their role models.
They've got the best seat in the house, don't they?
Yep. On the floor, Kennedy Edney for LSU opening with an impressive double Arabian. Gorgeous. 1.5 to a front layout. Nicely done.
Minnesota gaining some momentum over there on beam with Mary Corlin Downs, a beautiful beam set.
Kennedy Edney is one of 3 LSU Tigers who have scored a 10 on floor this year. Sarah Finnegan and McKenna Kelly are the others.
And yesterday she went 9.825. Just had a few little minor deductions here and there that added up. And boy, the crowd was not happy with that score. We saw some booing. No problem today. Absolutely 2-foot sticking her double tuck. That's a competitor.
And that brings a standing ovation from this crowd of 10,000 plus in the Maravich Center on the LSU campus.
And over on the bars for Auburn, this is Gracie Day stepping into the lineup to replace injured senior Sam Serio. Auburn needs a big score here. They've had some miscues so far in their lineup. Gorgeous sky high Jaeger. Hitting the handstand, working through to the dismount, a double Arabian, a blind landing, and comes in just a little short, has to take some steps.
Tiari Salas over on beam for Minnesota, getting things going. 9.95 is her high on this event, and that's exactly what they need to keep things going, to keep them staying in this competition.
Sarah Finnegan, senior for LSU, saluting and stepping onto the floor. Yesterday, they purposely put her last up in the lineup, but once they were able to know for sure that they had qualified to today and actually got the highest score, they decided to rest her instead, considering that she's had the flu all week.
It's all about strategy at this point in the season to keep your athletes healthy, because this is not the end for them. They still have a few more meets to go.
37 times Sarah Finnegan has won a floor exercise in her career.
She scored a perfect 10 at the SEC Championships, last event to secure the team title. This is a gamer. She is a veteran athlete who can pull it out when her team needs it.
Lexi Ramler getting set to anchor balance beam for Minnesota to cap things off for them. Tiari Salas had a beautiful beam routine to set her up. So we'll see what this beam rotation ends like for Minnesota.
Not to mention that I believe that Sarah is probably one of the most beautiful, technically correct gymnasts in college. A little short on that double pike. Again, we talked about her being sick all week, not getting the numbers in, maybe energy level being a little low, but what a fight to stay on her feet.
Lexi getting ready to go. She is a second-team All-American on this event. So one of her best. 9.975 is a career high. Just knocking at the door at that 10.0. Full turn. Very nicely done. That can sometimes be a little bit nerve-wracking, as easy as a skill as it is. Beautiful acro series. Front aerial. Her toe point is just beautiful.
And I love that she's actually showing emotion on the balance beam. She's performing it.
You can tell that she's very comfortable and very confident on this event.
On the left side of your screen, you see the Pepper Pot McKenna Kelly about to compete for the final time in her career in this building.
McKenna Kelly scored a 9.925 to tie Michaela Skinner from Utah for the highest score in yesterday's competition. Opening pass is a tough one. Double layout. Hello. A little bit chest down, but double foot sticks that. Absolutely outstanding. Gorgeous front layout to a front full. We got to see a great celebration for the seniors at senior night, but what an opportunity to be able to compete once again here in front of the home crowd at the PMAC for these seniors, with LSU hosting these regionals.
Such a special place to compete, so having another opportunity is truly something I know these seniors are very happy about.
We mentioned her tweaking her groin a little bit yesterday. Certainly that would hurt on some of those split that Terjete half. Gorgeous double back to finish the routine. There's Mary Lou Ratner, mom. So excited.
And the crowd responds. You can see what they want as a score for the final time on the floor for McKenna Kelly. Well, we have come to the halfway point. Hey, mom knows what score she wants.
She scored a few of those in her career as well.
We are waiting on the final score to be posted, and we will update after 2 rotations. Auburn, Minnesota, LSU, and Utah. 2 of these 4 will move on and be in the field of 8 in Fort Worth, Texas. 9-9-2-5, the score for McKenna Kelly. So the scores you see are updated to the moment. LSU still leading after 2 events, but it's tightened up a bit. Minnesota 98.650, LSU 98.85. Utah in second place right now at 98.8. And of course the Auburn Tigers at 97.45. We'll take a break and be right back with more on the SEC ESPN network from Baton Rouge. Through the Baton Rouge Regional Gymnastics Championship Finals, LSU with the lead over Utah and over Minnesota and over Auburn. With Lori Strong-Ballard and Kaylee Abood, I'm Lynn Rollins. We welcome you into the best of the best here in Baton Rouge. We can tell you that Oklahoma and Georgia have moved on out of the Athens Regional, and also UCLA and Michigan in the Ann Arbor Regional. Let's take a look at highlights. Utah, Auburn, Minnesota, and Florida.
Utah on vault went 49-425, an outstanding score, and can contribute to that was Michaela Skinner. A beautiful Yurchenko double full, very difficult and beautifully executed.
And Auburn struggled a little bit today on bars, scoring a 48.4. They were so solid here yesterday. Unfortunately, some mistakes held them back. This is Abby Millay doing a great job for them. Dismount, giant full, staying clean with the legs, double tuck, and sticks the landing.
Minnesota on balance beam had some trouble earlier in the lineup, but Tiari Salas had an outstanding beam set, scoring a 9-9-2-5. There's the dismount, beautifully stuck, very nice done.
LSU over on the floor, handling their lineup changes once again this day, scoring a 49.35. Kennedy Edney opening with a huge double Arabian. And double foot sticking that last double back for a 9-9. McKenna Kelly, outstanding in her last performance here at the PMAC, opening with that big double layout. Second tumbling class, super clean with a front layout to a front full. Final pass, landing's important. And she gets it, gorgeous for a 9-9-2-5.
So highlights of the second rotation from all 4 teams. You see Utah, the vault scores, highlighted by the 9.925 from Merrill, Giles, and Skinner. The Auburn Tigers, trailing now in 4th place, did not do particularly well on bars. Minnesota's Golden Gophers on beam had some wonderful scores, anchored by Salas at the bottom, and then you see LSU very solid on floor. The 9.8 was the lowest, cast aside. We'll be right back with more from Baton Rouge as we go to the third rotation. Rotation 3 coming up, and you see the updated scores. LSU at 98.85 and Utah at 98.80, the two leaders right now. It's LSU on vault, Utah on bars, Auburn competing on beam, and Minnesota on the floor exercise.
LSU on vault. Sarah Finnegan leads them off. They went 49-25 last night. They're going to want to stick some more vaults to get a few tenths back. And then over on balance beam, Drew Watson will lead off the Auburn Tigers tonight.
Utah on the bars, they're ranked number 5 in the country, and this was their highest scoring event yesterday. This is Kari Lee, a senior, with a gorgeous piked Jaeger into her overshoot. And on the floor, it's Minnesota, the ranked 13th in the country. Over the last couple weeks, they've been scoring in that 49 range. They regressed a little bit yesterday, scoring somewhere in the 48 range, so they'll be looking for improvement there. Kari Lee from Utah doing a solid performance first up for them.
Ruby Harold will be next up for the Tigers. She scored a 9-9 with a beautifully stuck Yurchenko 4.5 last night. So I know she wants to copy and paste that into tonight's competition.
First up on floor for Minnesota, this is Caitlin Higgins, a freshman.
Ruby does it again. Another beautiful Yurchenko 4.5. And over on balance beam, Darian Goburn gets set to go. Drew Watson had a great first up beam routine to kind of get things going for the Tigers on balance beam.
Caitlin Higgins for Minnesota preparing for her second tumbling pass. We've got Hunter Dula, a freshman for Utah, getting ready to go on bars. Second pass, 1.5 to a front pike. Great precision there on floor. Sky high Jaeger, gorgeous form in the air. Prior to college, Hunter Dula on the bars, finished 4th on bars at the Junior Olympic Nationals. Nice, clean job there.
Darian Goburn, here she goes for Auburn on balance beam. She had an outstanding club career, 5-time level 10 JO qualifier, and a 2017 JO national team member. She did an amazing job last night for the Tigers, very consistent with everything that she did.
Solid start for Minnesota on the floor. Not huge difficulty, but a clean routine.
And that was just about as good of a vault as you could ask for from McKenna Kelly.
Wow.
She knew exactly where she was, and she drilled that landing.
The crowd is excited in here. Of course, you got Utah over on bars trying to stay focused. You mentioned during the break how Utah is a team that knows how to pour it on in the big time meets. Well, they are 9-time national champions. They have more national titles than any other team except for Georgia, who has 10. So this is a program that knows how to prepare and come up big.
Darian Goburn did a great job saving that. Her side aerial was a little bit off, but she made that dismount work out perfectly.
I think it's noteworthy, too, that Utah is very used to performing in front of huge crowds. It has led the nation in attendance. And Alabama second, LSU third. In fact, Utah's total, over 14,000 per meet, come out to see the Utes. That's the highest women's college attendance of any sport in the country.
Small break there by Kim Tesson from Utah on bars, going over on her handstand, but she cleanly works out of it with a pirouette into a switch kip and then comes back and nails the dismount. Talk about handling the pressure and adjusting.
At this point, if something's a little bit off, these girls know exactly what to do. Your body takes over and you kind of fix yourself.
You have a backup plan for everything.
Getting ready to go on vault for LSU, Sarah Edwards. She got a 9.725. Had a little trouble on her landing for Yurchenko 4.5, but I've seen her nail it so many times. And then over on balance beam, Allie Riddle will be up next for the Auburn Tigers.
Minnesota's Allie Saunier on the floor. A little bit of a stumble on her opening double pike. Second tumbling pass. A Rudy, a front 1.5.
Sarah Edwards had a really nice vault. Had to take a step, but she did have a lot of power and a lot of distance. Allie's doing a great job on balance beam so far, showing off her flexibility, her grace, her poise, a little bit of sass.
Beautiful high release move for Utah on the bars, hitting that handstand perfectly.
Allie had to make a little bit of an adjustment on that dismount as well, but she definitely made it work.
Utah getting another great bar routine. That was McKenna Merrill-Giles, a senior, putting in a super performance.
Kennedy Edney up next on vault for LSU. This is definitely one of her events. National champion on this event her freshman year. And you see why. The height, the distance, took a little bit of a step, but overall a very nice vault.
For Minnesota on the floor, this is Selena Ung. She struggled yesterday a little bit, only scored at 8.9, but her season high is a 9.8. Slightly over-rotating that double pike.
Skylar Shepard getting set to go on balance beam for Auburn. And gymnastics just runs in her blood. It runs in her family. Her sister Austin was a gymnast at Michigan, and Ryan, her brother, was a gymnast at Stanford as well.
Poor parents. 3 gymnasts. My goodness.
That gets expensive, that's for sure.
Whip to a 1.5 on the floor. Selena Ung. Over on the bars for Utah. This is Missy Reinstalder.
Skylar had a little bit of a break. She recovered nicely.
Missy has only been competing bars this year because of an ankle injury. Full in, back out. As her dismount, tiny hop on the landing. She was regional beam champion last year, so I'm sure they are missing her ability on that event.
Skylar got a 9.85 last night on this event. And there she goes. Nice dismount, small hop on the landing, but overall a very solid beam routine.
Auburn on beam this year tied for 21st in the country with an average score of 49.105.
Junior Michaela Skinner for Utah, getting ready to mount the bars. She's regular season All-American on bars, vault, floor, and the all-around. Such a tremendous athlete. Oh my goodness. Off on her Ray release move. Not often do you see an athlete of her caliber make a mistake like that. Overshoot to handstand, nicely done there. She has cleaned up her form on this event so much since being at Utah. Huge swing into her full twisting double back. Sticks the landing there. Came back strong in that routine, but big miss for Utah.
Abby Millay set to go on balance beam for Auburn. And she is one of the team's leaders. Yesterday when Sam went down on floor, she rallied her team together and said, we're not going to get sad. We can get sad later because the situation is sad. We need to light this fire and get things going because that's exactly what Sam wants. And I think that spoke volumes to her teammates because of how well they finished the meet and they rallied.
And today one of their themes is Stick It for Sam. On the floor for Minnesota, this is Anna Loper, sophomore. Her career high is a 9.95. 9.925. She scored a 9.8 yesterday.
Auburn actually had Bruce Pearl, their men's basketball coach. They gave them a little pep talk yesterday before they competed last night. And he's told them, he said, adversity does not build character, it reveals it. And little did he know and little did the girls know how much those words would play into their evening after the injury on floor. So I thought that was really something and obviously something they held on to.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You guys have referred to the injury to Samantha Serio, and it was a gruesome sight, but we're told she's doing as well as she possibly can be. She has been communicating through some social media today, and her teammates have told me that she's a very courageous person who is going to have to come back after 2 grotesque and very severe leg injuries, but they tell me she's up to it.
Meredith Sylvia will wrap things up on balance beam for Auburn tonight. She got a 9.875, but she's capable of 9.9 plus on this event as anchor.
Lexi Ramler for Minnesota, getting some last-minute cues from her coach. She went 9.775 yesterday.
Minnesota is a team that has been in 24 consecutive regionals. However, it hasn't won one since 1982.
Meredith doing a great job so far. Very precise, very spot on.
Gorgeous double pike opening pass. Minnesota scored a 197.5 as their season high this year, and that's the second highest score in program history. So certainly this team and this coaching staff led by Jenny Hansen are doing a very good job. Minnesota's assistant coach, Geraldine Stack-Eaton, is in her 5th season with the team, and she was a former gymnast at Alabama. Absolutely a standout, amazing gymnast. So she certainly brings a lot of her experiences to this team as a coach now. Lexi Ramler with just her final tumbling pass to go. 1.5 step out, complicated to a double twist. That requires a lot of endurance at the end of a routine.
They make it look easy, but I promise it is definitely not easy.
So we will be getting updated scores in just a moment as we prepare for the final rotation.
Still to go on floor for Minnesota is Paige Williams. Floor seems to be the longest apparatus, so these last several athletes from each team kind of get to be on center stage, and that's always fun on floor.
She gets to make this crowd her own and light things up.
In college, floor was always my favorite event just because of that performance factor and having such a large crowd always behind you and your teammates learning some of your dance moves on the side.
It's definitely the most fun to perform, and I think the most fun to watch, especially for the fans that know it and love it.
See your teammates on the side, inside the corral. That is a requirement at a championship like this. Normally they'd be scattered along the sidelines, kind of almost into your routine with you. So that is a little bit of an adjustment.
Seeing them lean over the side of the corral, it is so hard to stay put in that little box.
Paige Williams from Minnesota, anchoring their lineup. She scored a 9.8 yesterday. She's very capable on this event. Her career high is a 9.975, which is also their school record. Beautiful sky-high front double twist. That is an E-level skill, and she does it so well. Her legs were glued together and so patient on the takeoff.
She had a really nice pop. Some of the judges sitting alongside of the floor, not at a table. They are looking to be sure that the gymnast does not step out of bounds. If she steps out of bounds, that'll be a deduction, so they're watching very carefully.
1/10 deduction for stepping out of bounds. You also see the chalk marks in the corner. That helps the athletes know how far they can step into the corner. Kind of gives them a visual cue. Finishing this routine with a Rudy. That's a front double full. Very precise and clean job for Paige Williams to anchor it for Minnesota today on floor.
So we'll wait for her score to be posted and the update. Ramler a 9.85. Speaking of dominance, as we did talking about Minnesota's 24 consecutive regional appearances, how about Utah? This rolls off the tongue rather easily, but it's an amazing accomplishment. 43 straight national championship appearances, 31 regional titles, and the other 12 times they were second. That's incredible.
Head coach Megan Marsden is in her 10th year. She was a former gymnast at Utah, and her husband, Greg Marsden, was the head coach for many, many years. So they've sort of kept that same format and approach to their program every year.
Paige Williams had a 9.9. You see the updated scores. LSU has exceeded 148 and is in the lead right now. Utah in second place. Remaining in the Baton Rouge Gymnastics Regional, and right now LSU and Utah are in first and second place respectively and poised to move on to the national championship. But Auburn and Minnesota will try to say something about that in the final rotation. Let's look at the LSU vault and the Utah bars in reverse as we go back to the third rotation. Certainly two outstanding performances.
LSU went 49.35 on vault, led off by Sarah Finnegan. Beautiful 9.9 vaults. Flares out for the landing. Very nicely done. And then McKenna Kelly, 9.85. Beautiful job on that vault. Here it is again. Very nice. And then Kennedy Edney, beautiful 9.9 Yurchenko, 4.5. Tiny step on the landing, but beautiful height, distance, and form.
Utah scoring a 49.1 on bars, forced to count a 9.775 after a late mistake by Michaela Skinner. This is senior McKenna Merrill Giles with their top score, a 9.9, a gorgeous and clean routine right to the dismount where she nails the full twisting double back. And then Missy Reinstadler scoring a 9.875 on this exceptional routine, showing precision as she does her overshoot to handstand on the low bar. All the details were there, including the toe point, the set in the direction into the dismount, just a tiny hop on the landing.
Well, here are the LSU vault scores. Sarah Finnegan a 9.9 along with Kennedy Edney. You see Utah on bars. And we move forward to the Auburn Tigers on beam, led by a 9.85. And the Golden Gophers on floor, 9.850 and 9.9, the highest two scores there. We'll be back in a moment as we get set for the fourth and final rotation in the Baton Rouge Gymnastics Regional. With Lori Strong-Ballard and Kaylee Dixon-Abood, I'm Lynn Rollins. We welcome you back to the Baton Rouge Gymnastics Regional Finals in the Maravich Center. You see the updated scores. LSU right now in good shape with a 148.20. Utah is second, and we get to the final rotation. Minnesota on vault. The bars with LSU. Beam, Utah, and Auburn on floor.
Over on vault, Kristen Qualia will lead things off. Minnesota went 49.225 last night, so we'll see if they can improve that score a little bit. And then over on balance beam, Utah with a 49.075 last night, and Kari Lee will lead things off.
This is Sammy Durante for LSU on bars, and one of her teammates posted on social media that she's working with 3 fingers. She has an injury to her thumb and recently broke her pinky finger, so can you imagine doing bars with those kind of hand injuries? Coming out so strong for them in their leadoff, of course. And on the floor for Auburn, this is Ashley Smith, a last-minute substitution for Sam Serio, who went out with the injury yesterday. She does have a lot of floor experience. She competed quite often last year.
Auburn ranked 20th on the floor exercise with a national qualifying average of 49.225.
And that was a beautiful beam set to lead Utah off from Kari Lee. She got a 9.85 last night, but a 9.975 is her career high, and I can definitely see why. That was a beautiful beam set.
Ashley Smith on floor, finishing with a double tuck, a little bit low in the chest on the landing. Great personality from start to finish, though.
If you've just joined us, UCLA and Michigan have advanced out of the Ann Arbor Regional. Oklahoma and Georgia were 1-2 in the Athens Regional.
Up on bars for LSU, this is Bailey Ferrer. Freshman who joined the team late, actually just got to campus a couple weeks before season started, and she's been kind of a mainstay in this bar lineup last half of the season.
Alexia Birch on beam for Utah. And Tiari Salas up next on vault for Minnesota. 9.9 is her career high on this event.
The Golden Gophers are 11th in the country with an average score of 49.205. And Anna Loper, who will anchor, won the vault yesterday along with Darian Gobert.
Auburn on the floor, opening with a front layout to a Rudy. This is Emma Slappy, a junior. She scored a 9.85 yesterday.
Tiari Salas with a beautiful vault for Minnesota. That should put up a fantastic score.
After a solid hit from Bailey Ferrer for LSU, this is Ruby Harold about to mount her bar routine. She has one of the most original bar routines in collegiate gymnastics. Take a look at this transition from high to low. That is called the Zuckel-Schluderin. Always a crowd pleaser.
Can you spell that?
It's very difficult, but yes. Nice job on her Jaeger. Into the dismount, a blind landing on a double front. Takes a small step on the landing. Another solid routine for LSU.
Paige Williams will be up next on vault for Minnesota. She scored a 9.825 last night.
Emma Slappy sticking her double back. Solid routine for Auburn.
Nice job from Paige. Small hop on the landing, but very well executed. Over on beam, Sydney Solosky gets ready to go for Utah. Tom Farden, head coach of Utah, told the team we weren't as perfect as we wanted to be yesterday, but happy that we made it to the next round. Said they came out a little bit tight, and tonight they are not tight at all. They are going out, they're hitting everything that they need to hit, and really executing some great gymnastics.
One mistake on bars from one of their leaders, Michaela Skinner, but other than that, they've been super competitive and very fiery.
You can tell they want it.
Up next for LSU on bars, this is Kennedy Edney saluting and ready to go. Kennedy Edney has a big high-flying bar routine. Starting off with this huge release move here. It's called a Hindorf. Nice height. Back down to the low bar, overshoot to handstand, toe circle. Her dismount's a double layout. She does it so nicely. Keeps that straight body shape through 2 rotations. There it is. Fights for that stuck landing. I can't believe she barely moved her feet. Up next on floor for Auburn, this is Skylar Shepard. Opening pass, a huge triple full.
Anna Loper gets ready to anchor vault for Minnesota. Like Lynn was saying, she tied for the regional championship on this event last night with Darian Goburn, scoring a 9.95. She was the first gymnast to claim a regional title at the regional championship since 2016. So it's a big deal for her and for the program. Adrienne Randall gets ready to go for Utah on balance beam.
Skylar Shepard on the floor. She was a transfer from Arizona, was not able to compete last year because of an injury, but she's been a solid contributor for this team on floor and beam. Up next on bars for LSU, this is Bridget Dean. Stepping into this lineup, replacing Lexi Priestman, who is out with a bicep injury, an injury that occurred in February, and she re-injured this week. Talked about these athletes having to always be prepared. They train daily, sometimes don't get competition time, but when they call, they have to be ready. Dismount, double layout, sticks the landing. Well done by Bridget Dean for LSU.
Adrian doing a nice job so far on balance beam. Had a slight wobble, but she's recovered very well. And that skill is just beautiful. A back full to a swing down. Not easy at all. Spent a lot of hours training that skill, I'm sure. Here's the dismount. Round off double full and fights for that landing. Very nicely done.
Anchoring LSU's bar lineup, this is Sarah Finnegan, the current SEC champion on bar. She scored a 9.95 there. We talked about her dealing with those flu-like symptoms or the flu this week. So right now she's going to have to rely on the millions of numbers that she's put in practice.
It's all muscle memory at this point.
She's had a 10 on bars, and she's won this title on bars 25 times in her career.
Doing a great job so far. I have not seen a single deduction. Looking for the landing here on the dismount. There it is. Absolutely nails it. What a gorgeous routine. A clutch performance.
Will it go 10? It'll be close if not. That was beautiful.
That's the last time that Sarah Finnegan will compete in this building. Two-time SEC Gymnast of the Year, Sarah Finnegan.
McKenna Merrill Giles on balance beam for Utah.
Beautiful opening pass for Drew Watson for Auburn on the floor. She was Auburn's top all-arounder yesterday. She seems to get better and better every time we see her compete.
Beautiful triple series from McKenna.
Four and a half front layout for Drew Watson on the floor.
Just the dismount for McKenna and fights to get that stick. Very nice beam set. Michaela Skinner will be up next to anchor balance beam for Utah. 9.95 is her high. She won the all-around and floor titles last night. Just an amazing athlete.
Next up on floor for Auburn will be Darian Goburn. Such an amazing athlete, teammate Gracie Day by her side, giving her some last-minute cues and help. Very composed as Darian Goburn walks out on the floor to start a routine. But she always brings so much sass to this routine. Very fun to watch.
Beautiful acro series from Michaela Skinner.
Opening with a sky-high open double back.
Michaela doing a fantastic job so far. Swish leap into a straddle jump for her jump connection.
Goburn with a gorgeous front full to a front layout, sticking the landing. Lots of facial expression.
And then a round-off double tuck to cap things off for Michaela Skinner. That was a beautiful beam routine, lots of difficulty, and she did it extremely well.
So far, a very clean routine for Goburn. Last tumbling pass, sky-high double pike. Opens a little early, wanting to get that perfect stick. There will be a small deduction there, but a strong routine.
While we wait for the final numbers here, we will tell you that the regional in Corvallis features Denver, Boise State, Florida, and Oregon State. Two of those will join Oklahoma and Georgia. Both of those teams scored better than 198 in the Athens regional. And also in the Ann Arbor regional, UCLA bested 198, and Michigan just nipped Alabama for the second place. So it'll be Michigan, UCLA, Oklahoma, and Georgia, the two winners here, and either Denver, Boise State, Florida, or Oregon State. Two out of those four will also be in the Final Eight. And the Utes know that they will be moving on, and so does LSU. There's a lot of scoreboard watching right now among all four of these teams.
And still to compete, the anchor for Auburn, Abby Millay, a senior. Perhaps with one of her final performances of her career. Scored a solid 9.85 at the SEC Championships. Gorgeous switch ring. Second pass, a double pike. Pretty good setup. Not quite enough rotation. Into what was supposed to probably be a front layout. Landed a little flat-footed, covered up nicely. Very interesting final pose for Abby Millay, a senior from Auburn. Finishing up strong for her team.
This will be the 19th regional title that LSU has won in its history, 13 in the NCAA, 6 in the AIAW. And LSU on a streak now of 7 consecutive NCAA regional titles dating back to 2013. Let's take a look at highlights in the final rotation.
LSU finishing up strong on the bars. This is Kennedy Edney fighting for every handstand. A huge Hindorf to start the routine. Nice job on her overshoot. And of course the signature straight body double layout. Again, fighting for every tenth for her team. Well done. And of course Sarah Finnegan. The flu had nothing on her today. Gorgeous. Ray, toe hand, down to the low bar, hitting that overshoot to handstand. The details are there every single time with this stellar senior. Gaining speed into the dismount, double layout, drops into the landing. She knows exactly where she is every time.
Utah on beam, 49.350. Giles, 9.875 to help seal the deal for Utah. Beautiful routine, beautiful stuck landing. And then Michaela Skinner, 9.875 with a beautiful beam set, filled with difficulty and very well executed. Here's that round off double tuck dismount. Beautifully done.
Well, all four of these teams are coming for a final bow. The LSU Tigers move on, and so do the Utah Utes. 197.50 for LSU. It wins the regional in Baton Rouge. Utah at 197.25. The cream came to the top here as LSU and Utah did what they thought they could do. They are moving on.
Absolutely. These teams fought and fought even through adversity, and they built momentum with each routine up, and they got the job done.
We talked about with Utah having a huge room for improvement, scoring over a 198 at their Pac-12 championships tonight. 197.25, but big improvement from yesterday. They are fighters and competed really well. And, of course, LSU overcame so much this weekend, competing straight days. Several athletes stepping up into their lineup to make this happen, and another berth to the national championships.
So the next action for Utah and LSU will be April 19th and 20th in Fort Worth, Texas, the NCAA Collegiate Gymnastics Championship. The final scores again: LSU 197.50, Utah finishes as the runner-up at 197.25, Minnesota next, and Auburn in fourth place in this regional. We hope you've enjoyed this regional action from LSU. This has been a presentation of ESPN.